Hello and welcome back to another episode of Rawcaster, where today I am discussing with my mother how to deal with toxic family members. Unfortunately, this scenario is a reality for many listening and can be difficult to maneuver due to the generational ties involved. Hopefully, someone listening finds this useful, as this has helped me on my journey in dealing with toxic family members. But before I chime in, Mum, how have you dealt with toxic family members?
Is a difficult subject, very difficult, because as you rightly mentioned, it's more harder to deal with your family than deal with, say, for instance, outsiders, strangers, because strangers, you can just not speak to them, cut them off. But family members, say, for instance, brothers, sisters, aunties, those are people that you most likely know all your life. So therefore, it's it's very traumatic actually to deal with close family members. But in my experience, um, in my younger days, it's so hurtful, it's so traumatic. It's trying to make sense of it was takes a lot out of you. You know, it gives you high blood pressure, it gives you all the different medical issues that our people have, and it's all to do with these kind of traumas. It's traumatic. So what I used to basically try and avoid running. That's the word I use, running, meaning avoiding, meaning keeping out of their way. But sometimes it's hard because it's family members. It's hard to keep out of their way. It's hard to have a discussions because you don't want to be blowing up situations where fighting or things among family members, brothers, sisters, aunties, whoever. And that's what it could lead to. That's what it does lead to. If you try to confront these issues, it leads to, fighting or whatever, which is more traumatic. So, as I got older, I begin to realize that I've just got to avoid these people, whether they're family members or not. Just avoid them. Um, Full stop. Just avoiding. Just keeping out of their way. Just that simply means not communicating, not being around them. They don't know if I'm dead or alive, or yeah, they don't know anything. I don't know anything because because I think that avoids a lot of medical pain. You know, on my side, I've got medical issues, so those sort of meeting up with with people, it just aggravate my medical situation. So I just have to avoid those issues, those people, those issues. Try and just block them out. Basically, cut them off. Basically, cut them off. Completely cut them off. Because that's how I survive. And just stay in my little bubble, my little world, and that's it.
It's interesting that you mentioned the physical effects that being in a toxic situation had on you, and I totally agree. A motivator behind me creating this platform was to provide an outlet and a safe space to ignite and have real conversations. We can only run and avoid situations for so long, especially when it comes to family. But to preserve oneself, sometimes it is necessary, especially if other avenues have been explored. For those who are currently dealing with toxic family members and you cannot physically avoid them at this moment in time, please be crystal clear about your boundaries. When in toxic relationships, you find yourself compromising more and more to make the relationship work, and it never does. What does happen, however, is that you become drained, exhausted, and in some cases, resentful. Know and stick to exactly what you will tolerate, as only you have the power to choose who you allow into your space. And like a moldy apple, if you allow the wrong individual before you know it, their toxicity is rubbing off onto you, which is when sometimes enough is enough. When people are unwilling to acknowledge, listen, or attempt to change their toxic behaviours, you have to walk away. People like this are not concerned about the quality of relationship that they have with you. The only thing that motivates them is what benefits them. Toxic people require a massive amount of energy, which is better placed elsewhere. Instead, surround yourself with positive people, people who equally reciprocate positivity, and last but not least, lead with forgiveness. Understand that many people's actions are a projection of themselves and nothing to do with you. Forgiveness allows you to let go of the hurt and pain associated with the individual, allowing internal resolve and it not to affect your future. How have you dealt with toxic family members? Were you ever able to remedy your relationship? Let us know in the comments below and DM me at Rawcaster on Instagram. And as always, thank you all for listening. My sincere apologies for the inconsistent uploads, but I am back. As always, peace.